Hello everybody. So today we are going to discuss about a new topic which is importance of fungi. So previously we have discussed about the phyla, the harm classification, and now we are going to have uh, some important characteristics of fungi. Before discussing that, we need to discuss some mutualistic associations of fungi. There are two mutualistic association of fungi in which the fungi basically act as mutualists, symbionts, and of course when we are going to classify symbionts, they are mutualists. There's a particular classification in which both the fungi organism which is living on the mutualist, which is living on that on the particular organism, gain its benefit from the fungi, and the fungi gives benefit to the other organism as well. So in this case, this is what we call as a mutualistic association. And here, mutualistic association is found in two forms. First is lichens of fungi. First form is in the form of lichens. Some other forms are mycorrhizae. Now, when it comes to lichens, lichens are those forms of fungi in which the fungi are basically found in association with uh, green algae. Those algae which are found in association with in mutual association with green algae and cyanobacterium, or in other words, lower photoautotrophs, which are known as the lichens. And these lichens basically are, most of them are ascomycetes. Some of these are basidiomycetes as well. 50% of the ascomycetes are lichens, and these are having a specific structure of in which they particularly provide benefit to the green algae and cyanobacterium, and in return get benefit from them as well. And first telling about their benefit, such that the lichens basically cause to prevent the green algae from desiccation, as well as they tend to protect them from strong radiations of light. While when it comes to the uh, green algae, being photoautotroph, causes to produce organic food, organic compound for its nutritional requirements, such that this organic nutritional requirements is grown, it is required by lichens in return. So in this case, the organisms gain benefit through lichens. And here lichens are basically determined into three major layers. They are composed of three major layers, such that their uppermost structure, there might be a picture as well. This is a picture of lichen. This is the structure in which they are arranged. A branched structure of lichens is there, and in within the middle layer there's presence of the photosynthetic cells such as chlorella or other green algae. Here, the uppermost layer is a tough layer, thick layer. Uppermost layer is a tough layer, upper cortex, which is known as upper cortex. Uppermost layer is a tough layer, thick layer, and in between, the middle layer is basically made up of hyphae, which are closely associated with the photosynthetic cells or the photoautotrophs. And these hyphae also penetrate into these photosynthetic cells, while some of these are also in between the space. When it comes to the lower cortex is a one which is made up of loosely packed hyphae. It is made up of tightly packed hyphae. It is middle fungi is made up of a bit of loosely packed hyphae, while when it comes to lower cortex, it is made up of loosely packed hyphae. And here, when it comes to the hyphae of the middle part, which is known as medulla, they are penetrated into the chlorella. They are penetrated into the photosynthetic cell or any other sort of green algae or chlorella. Now, if we come to view their transverse view, there are several views as well on which these are particularly viewed. Here we are having upper cortex. Green algae, if we you view it in the form from the microscope, then it will showcase as upper cortex, and in between them there is algal layer, and in the lower cortex, lowermost layer is known as the medulla. Upper cortex, medulla, and lower cortex in this manner. So this is how this is what we call as lichens, and why lichens are important ecologically. Ecologically, these are important because they increase the growth of algal cells, which means they tend to increase the growth of algal cells. Ultimately, they provide benefit to the environment by decreasing the concentration of carbon dioxide and increasing the concentration of oxygen throughout the process of photosynthesis occurring within those lichens. Moreover, uh, they basically help in ecological succession, such that they cause to break rocks on the particular substratum, such that they grow on a particular structure which is known as the substratum, or this particular surface is known as the substratum. And when they grow over the substratum, they cause to break the substratum into two or more than two pieces, as a result of which it leads to development of the ecosystem as well, such that development of ecosystem occurs, which leads to development and growth of other possibly new organisms within those environment. Moreover, when it comes to some other characteristics, they also help in bioremediation, such that they remove waste materials, or pollutants or pollution which are produced by living organisms. So these are important in that case as well. Moreover, these are important bio indicators of air pollution, such that they are sensitive to air pollution, due to which they indicate the presence of less air pollution within air wherever these are present. So in this case, these are important bio indicators of the environment as well. Apart from that, when it comes to mycorrhizae here is also a mutualistic association of fungi, but that is a mutualistic association with higher vascular plants. And these higher vascular plants are almost 95% of these higher vascular plants, uh, 95% of the higher vascular plants are having the association of mycorrhizae with them. And mycorrhizae involves example of morels. Morchula esculenta is the example. Morchula esculenta. Tubers are the examples. Tuber is a species, not that one tuber of plant. So here examples of this includes mycorrhizae. And mycorrhizae, basically it is of two types. It is of two types. Number one is endomycorrhizae, second is ectomycorrhizae. Ectomycorrhizae is the one in which the hyphae of the fungi, uh, endomycorrhizae is the one in which the hyphae of the fungi penetrate into the outer cells, in which they penetrate into the outer cells in which they penetrate into the outer cells of the swellings, minute branches, and coils of the root structure or the outer cortex cells, as a result of which they tend to absorb nutrients from them, and in return, they tend to absorb the organic compounds from them, and in return, they produce increase their absorption of several minerals such as potassium, nitrogen, as well as other metallic ions. um, their absorption is increased when they are associated with mycorrhizae, as well as alongside their association they increase their water absorption on one hand, while on the other hand side, their own growth is increased by increase in the production of the organic compound. Now, here organic compound are being they get increased absorption of minerals as well as water, while in return they take organic compounds from them, which means fungi takes organic compounds from them. Apart from which, um, through this association, plants which showcase mycorrhizal growth uh, are more plants which showcase association with mycorrhizae have enhanced growth as compared to non-mycorrhizal plants. So in this case, it of course increases the growth of plants as well. And after that, when it comes to endomycorrhizae is mostly found in most of the vascular plants which are photoactive, and those which are scotoactive, which have their stomata closing opening during the day and closing during night. uh, they are scotoactive, which are having their stomata opening during the night and closing during the day, are basically having ectomycorrhizae. Example of this includes pines and firs are examples of this. Pines and firs, right? Pines and firs. Apart from that, yes, pines and firs are examples of this. Pines and firs are the examples of this. And when it comes to endomycorrhizae, they only penetrate into the outer layer. But when it comes to ectomycorrhizae are those which penetrate into the gaps between the adjacent cell walls of the outer cells. They only penetrate into the gap between the adjacent cell walls of the outer cells. They do not penetrate into the inner layer uh, gaps between the cell wall. It only penetrates the gap between the cell wall of the outer layer, right? So this is how we actually, understand. So these both of these are important ecologically. These were some of the ecological benefits. When it comes to some of the economic benefits of humans, there are certain fungi which are edible, such as Agaricus bisporus, Agaricus campestris. Almost 200 different edible fungi species of mushrooms are found, as well as uh, you know there are certain species of other species as well. Oyster mushroom, Pleuro- Pleurotus osteatus, Pleurotus osteatus is there. Oyster mushroom, pedestrian, pedestrian pedestrian mushroom, oyster mushroom is there. And there are certain economically important important fungi which are known as aspergillus ortiza, there are certain aspergillus ortiza. It is utilized to convert soya soya bean. It causes fermentation of soya bean in order to produce soya sauce and soya paste. Moreover, uh, or all right, it is not ortiza, it is oriza, aspergillus oriza. And apart from that, there are certain other species of aspergillus which are utilized to produce citric acid. Moreover, there are certain species which are utilized to produce aspergillus which are utilized to provide characteristic aroma, flavor, and color to some cheese. Certain species are also present there. There are certain species of penicillium which are doing that, right? After that, when it comes to yeast is an example. Baker's yeast is quite famous. Baker's yeast, a Saccharomyces cerevisiae, and Baker's yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, Baker's yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, which is utilized for a variety of purposes. Number one includes for fermentation. They perform fermentation, alcoholic fermentation. So as a result of that, they are utilized in brewing industries where they are utilized to produce beers, wines, and other such breweries. Moreover, these are utilized for the production of as the baker's yeast, these are utilized for the production for fermentation of flour in order to produce bread, right? Bread and other sort of bakery products. In that case, when we notice that there are certain holes within the bread. Let's suppose if this is a bread. So in bread, we see there are minute holes present in the bread. These holes are basically uh, formed due to the release of carbon dioxide during alcoholic fermentation of the bread flour by Saccharomyces cerevisiae, as a result of which when carbon dioxide is released, carbon dioxide released causes to accumulate um the lumen within the lumen of that particular dough. As a result of that accumulation of carbon dioxide within the lumen of that particular dough, it causes to form several holes within the uh, dough, as a result of which the dough basically has accumulation of carbon dioxide, due to which this warmer carbon dioxide present within will cause to inflate the dough in order to produce bread, as a result of which it will cause to produce several perforations or holes or minute pores, which we usually see when we have bread. And here these are quite minute. And apart from that, when it comes to other important characteristics, some poisonous fungi are there as well, such as Amanita species. Fungi of Amanita genus are poisonous, such as Amanita virosa. which is known as death angel or destructor angel. Moreover, when it comes to other species, jack o' lantern, uh, it is having its scientific name is Ophellomus olearius, Ophello, Ophellomatus, Ophellomatus olearius. It is known as jack-o'-lantern, uh, jack-o'-lantern, jack-o'-lantern, Ophellomatus olearius, and that is basically having a characteristic that its gills. It belongs to the phylum Basidiomycetes. Basidiomycetes. It is having gills, which shine during the dark. So it is having a characteristic that its gills shine during the dark. Shine during the dark. Its gills shine during the dark. Ophellomatus olearius, its gills shine during the dark. And apart from that, we are also having, you know, a certain species which cause intoxication and hallucination in, humans if they ingest it. And apart from that, these are some common examples. Now, when it comes to another aspect, we are also having genetic research. In genetic research, we are having good example of yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae. Yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, has some genetic, significance. A reason is that it is first and foremost easy to culture and manipulate. Easy to culture and manipulate. Moreover, it is, uh, easy to culture and manipulate, and it is a eukaryote, which means it is eukaryote, so it is easy to, culture eukaryotic protein within the yeast rather than bacteria, because bacteria is a prokaryote, and often it is, not it does not produce the desired eukaryotic products in, several uh, sensitive cases. So in that case, eukaryotic cell, uh, fun yeast provides these benefits. Moreover, it has a characteristic of plasmid, extra chromosomal DNA, which can have the gene of interest integrated within it, due to which, alongside the genomic sequence of yeast, the plasmid can also produce the particular product of interest, using the integration of the gene of interest within it. And apart from that, we are also having uh, another benefits. It is having a fast growth rate. Having fast growth rate, right? Fast growth rate of yeast is there. These are some common factors. Fast growth rate of yeast, right? Fast growth rate of yeast is there. Apart from which, fast growth rate of yeast is there. Apart from which, there are certain other characteristics as well, such that if we want to, synthesize some important proteins. Let's suppose if we take interferon. Interferon is eukaryotic protein, but since if it is utilized for research, we can, utilize bacteria to synthesize it, as well as yeast to synthesize it. But when it comes to the hepatitis B vaccine is, not going to be utilized for research. It will be rather utilized for treatment of a particular infected person. So in that case, hepatitis B vaccine can only be synthesized by yeast, not from bacteria, because it is, an eukaryotic protein and requires uh, the particular eukaryotic organism from it, right? And apart from that, there are some other characteristics of yeast as well. Yeast is the first eukaryote, or in other words, it is the first eukaryote or first organism to be utilized in genetic engineering, as well as um, the first artificial genetic chromosome was, formed from yeast, as well as the first organism or first eukaryote whose genomic sequence was entirely studied was yeast. Genomic sequence was entirely studied was yeast, as well as yeast has some other remarkable capabilities, such that yeast, it is also utilized in case of several biological research. Alongside yeast, there's another, species of fungi, neurospora, a pink bread mold, which is utilized in genetic research as well. And these are some common characteristics. And apart from that, when it comes to, moreover, when it comes to some other characteristics, we are also having the implementation of fungi in the field of industry, such that several several fungi are utilized for producing dyes in textile industries. And apart from that, some of the fungi are also utilized for production of several uh, specific, products in the textile industry, such as many of these are utilized for production of several dyes in textile industries, as well as production of several type of food products. And rest, when it comes to other characteristics, uh, we are alongside we are having characteristics, we also having some losses due to fungi as well. There are certain economic losses due to fungi, some economic losses due to fungi when it comes to, economic losses due to pathogenic fungi. We are having economic losses due to pathogenic fungi in plants. Now these can be divided into two parts: ascomycetes and basidiomycetes. Ascomycetes includes examples of brown rot occurring in peach, plum, apricot, and cherries, brown rot, red rot of sugarcane. This is an example. Tato wilt, as well as apple scab, potato wilt, apple scab, red rot of sugarcane, brown rot, as well as there is root rot of cotton, root rot of cotton. These are some common ascomycetic diseases caused by some pathogenic ascomycetes. And other examples includes Dutch elm disease, as well as there is bl- chestnut blight disease, as well as powdery mildews. Right, so these are some diseases, important diseases. And brown rot, red rot, ergot of rye is an important disease. We are going to discuss what it actually causes. Ergot of rye causes, a disease, and it also causes a condition. If we eat a rye flour which is, purple and ergot contaminated, then it causes a condition in humans which is known as ergotism. And ergotism is, characterized by a nervous disorder, nervous spasm occurs, as well as there's, psychotic delusion, convulsion and gangrene. Moreover, convulsion, psychotic delusion, nervous spasm, and gangrene occurs. And if we come to talk about the diseases in, in animals, or if we talk particularly about humans, we are having skin diseases caused by several sort of deuteromycetes. which includes ringworm, athlete's foot. These are caused by several deuteromycetes, uh, as well as Candida albicans. It causes oral and vaginal thrush, which is known as candidiasis or candidosis. Candidiasis, Candida albicans, as well as Aspergillus, species of Aspergillus fumi, fumigatus. Aspergillus fumi, if I'm not wrong, Aspergillus fumigatus. It basically causes aspergillosis. Aspergillosis, it is an infection which is caused, in air and lung, as well as when it comes to some other diseases. There are diseases in, caused in the oral cavity, such that there are diseases which are caused in the gum, mouth, and the lips, which is known as moniliasis, right? And apart from that, uh, there are certain diseases caused, by inhalation of fungal spores. Inhalation of fungal spores can cause allergic responses, and in several cases, if we inhale the fungal spores of a particular fungi, which of a particular fungus which is grown on contaminated bird feces, it causes a condition which is known as histoplasmolysis. And histoplasmolysis is a severe lung disease, severe lung infection. Histoplasmolysis, right? And some fungi also lead to, bone tissue damage if they are taken into the body. Bone tissue damage, right? Some also lead to bone tissue damage. Histoplasmosis, sorry, it was not histoplasmolysis, it is histoplasmosis. Bone tissue damage. And apart from that, there are certain types of fungi, certain types of aspergillus release uh, carcinogenic most carcinogenic mycotoxins or toxins produced by fungi, which are known as aflatoxins. Aflatoxins. These aflatoxins can be found, produced by certain Aspergillus species on improperly stored peanut and corn stalks, as well as it can be found in traces in milk, egg, and meat as well. And these are, of course, carcinogenic, lead to cancer. And apart from that, ergotism is already told. Moreover, there are some economic losses due to fungi as well, such that 50 to 15 to 50% 15 to 50% of the 15 to 50% of the world's fruit are damaged each year due to fungi, as well as several types of bracket and shelf fungi feed on lumber, as well as timber, alongside, feeding on the living trees. They alongside feeding on the living trees, they feed on lumber and timber as well. Apart from which, when it comes to some other characteristics, some of the fungi also, feed on living trees, and, damage those living trees alongside decomposing them. And some of the fungi also grow on, shower curtains, known as pink yeast, also known as rhodotorula. It basically grows on shower curtains, moist shower curtains, and other moist spaces. So these are some common characteristics. And this is all about today's video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Tomorrow we are going to discuss something.